Yo, what is up guys, it Ghost here, welcome back to another video. So, another Battlefield Labs test, another round of leaks. Definitely fewer leaks that we've been used to, but I do have a bunch of stuff for you guys. So, first of all, we've got bunny hopping that has been sighted, supposedly bunny hopping, and that is interesting because movement has been a very hot topic around the next Battlefield game recently. We've also got artillery or possible artillery that's been sighted as well, sledgehammers, voice chat and more. So without further ado, if you guys do enjoy the content here on the channel, make sure you are subscribed. There's going to be plenty more to come on the Battlefield franchise far into the future from me. And as always, thank you guys so much for your ongoing support. So first of all, I think we all have to acknowledge just how terrible the quality of these leaks have gotten now. As you guys may have noticed, the frequency of leaks with each iteration of Battlefield Labs testing has been fewer and fewer. The leaks have been going down. Why that's been happening, I can only assume it's because more and more of the leakers have been banned. The Battlefield 1 Telegram Russian account, who has been largely responsible for the majority of the data mine leaks that I've been covering in my past few videos, they have announced that both of their main leakers have had their accounts banned, so they're down and out at the moment. They're just done with leaking anything. But what's more is, I believe it was Jack Frags that pointed out that it isn't enough to actually cover up the watermarks in the leaked videos. So for anybody who's seen the leaks, and I'm sure most of you guys will have gone on Reddit and had a look for yourselves, there are these watermarks displaying your in-game name so that DICE know your EA account, dancing around all over the screen. And basically what people do is they cover up these watermarks with like a Doge meme or something. However, what they didn't know is that there are hidden watermarks, reportedly. And if DICE take the footage and they change the saturation and change the contrast, they can actually view those hidden watermarks, find the person responsible for leaking, and then ban their account. And so what people have started doing now is putting this weird crisscross filter all over their footage, then uploading it at like literally 240p resolution, and then applying a hideous saturation filter that basically just makes the game look like a terrible watercolor painting. It's really just not even worth looking at these leaks or even posting them at the moment because the quality is just so bad. But I digress. As always with these kind of videos, guys, I'm not going to be able to show you the leaks in this video because there's always a chance that DICE or EA decide that they don't want it to be seen and they will just simply take the video down. But we're going to talk about everything in them. I'm also going to link down below to the Reddit post, so if you guys are curious, you can head over there and have a look for yourselves so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about this so-called artillery leak. So there is some footage out there of what looks like a missile doing a top-down attack on a tank, and I don't want to toot DICE or EA's horn too much here, guys, but I have to say, based on that leak, the visual effects alone of that looked very impressive. It looked really awesome, and a lot of the other visual effects that we've already seen in past leaks look great as well, so I think they're definitely nailing the immersiveness, the realism, I suppose, to some degree as well, if we're just looking at the in-game effects. Obviously, the sound of the game is very good as well, so that's going to go a long way. Obviously, gameplay is absolutely first. I'm not saying that the game is going to be great because of it, but just putting that out there. Now, people are calling this artillery and saying this could be some sort of an artillery strike. However, from previous leaks, we do know that there is a brand new Russian mine in the game called the PTKM-1R. This is a jumping mine, and here is actually some real-life footage of this, and you can see just how it works. It shoots up in the air, and then it comes and does this top-down attack on the tank. So I think that is what we were seeing there. Nevertheless, it looked very impressive. And if that's what the effects for the rest of the game are going to look like, then I think we could be in for a treat in that department. So a couple of other small details that I noticed, and small little attention to detail things I guess that DICE have put in the game, is that vehicles now get dirty from mud, and there was also visible blood spatter on the weapons. Now again, this is not the be-all end-all, but I think if you look at a game like Battlefield 1, where it really did have that immersive factor, gameplay-wise, it probably wasn't the best Battlefield game, even though it may be for some, but I think if we look at the immersiveness of that game and the authenticity and how realistic it looks, that is pretty much up there as one of the best Battlefield games in that regard. So if DICE have taken inspiration from that game with Battlefield 6, then again, it's looking pretty nice. So next up, we also saw some footage of a bloke swinging a sledgehammer and battering down a wall. So it seems that in this game, you can equip sledgehammers. He also had it along with his knife, so it doesn't replace your knife as your melee weapon. This seems to be an additional piece of equipment. I'm not sure if this is like support only, but he was smashing down this wall. And since we've seen that destruction is so prominent in Battlefield 6 and they're really putting a focus on that, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, there's something cool about that, I think. Can you imagine walking up to a building or a position and instead of putting C4 in there and blowing a hole, no, you just pull out your sledgehammer and give it a good old whack, jump in through the hole and start gunning people down. I mean, there's just something awesome about that, isn't there? Now, this next one I know is definitely going to ruffle some feathers, and that is on the movement of the game. So this particular leaker decided he was going to try and mess around with the movement and see how it affected your weapon or the weapon sway. And in this short clip, he basically runs, I think he slides, and then he starts jumping out of the slide whilst ADSing and basically bunny hopping his way across the floor. Now the good news is he doesn't really bunny hop because he comes to a complete stop, I would say, fairly quickly. You definitely can't bunny hop as long a distance as you can at the moment in 2042. Certainly not as far a distance as you can if you're playing as McKay. And for those of you who were here at launch of 2042 and you remember like people grappling on the ground and just bunny hopping their way halfway across the battlefield, it's nowhere near that bad. And quite frankly, I think from looking at the leaks, the movement of Battlefield 6 looks way slower than 2042, so I don't have a problem with the movement overall. However, he is ADSing, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of a penalty to the gun sight or the accuracy whilst you are jumping along the ground. Now, bear in mind, these are leaks. These things could definitely change in the future. DICE are just testing at the moment, but this has upset a lot of people over on Reddit who generally do not like movement. For me, it's really a non-issue. Again, there's going to be a link to this below, so feel free to go and check it out and then maybe come back to the video, leave a comment and let me know what you think about that. Is this like a no-go for you in a Battlefield game, or do you think this kind of movement is totally acceptable? I might do a full video on the whole topic of movement in Battlefield games, what I think about it, and justifying some of those opinions, because I do think it's an interesting topic, but it's far too deep of a topic to get into here today. Now, whilst that one may upset a few people, I think this one is going to please many of you. So this, I believe, is another data mine coming out of Vanek on some Discord. I don't know where this guy is. He posts these leaks on Reddit. I've tried to find what Discord he's in, but apparently it's not any of the Discords that I frequent. So go figure, but the guy's name is Vanek, so credit given. But these are various settings for voice chat position mode. So first of all, we have auto, and this says the game mode decides how voice chat is played back. Then we have flat, played directly out the main speakers with no direction or attenuation. Then we've got directional. The voice will be positioned in relation to where the soldier is with no distance attenuation. And then we have in-world, where the player talking to you will have reverb and distancing applied to their voice as if their soldier is speaking. So, first of all, great news that voice chat is going to be in the game at launch, but it sounds like they're even going the extra mile here to add, again, more realism, more immersivity to the game by giving us these different options. So what I really like about DICE when they do these features correctly is that they do give you those options. If you just want regular voice chat, you just want to hear it in your headphones, you can just play it as flat, which is basically the way that you will hear voice chat in Battlefield 2042, for example, right now. But if you want it to be a little bit more immersive, you can simulate an in-world situation where you will actually hear the direction of where the soldier is. So if you've got one buddy on your right and he's talking to you, you're going to hear it in your right earphone. Now, what this also, of course, has me thinking about, and a feature that a lot of people have wanted for Battlefield, is local voice chat, where you can basically hear the people around you who are not necessarily in your squad. So since they've obviously gone the extra mile of putting these features in the game and, you know, really fleshing out this feature set for voice chat, then that probably has to be in the game. Again, considering there is going to be a Battle Royale mode, I think that pretty much will be expected to be there. And then finally here, let's talk about this radio station. So again, Vanek has found this one, and these are settings for the radio station. So select which radio station your vehicle radio will default to. So you've got off, random, Station 1, Station 2, diegetic vehicle radio, and you can play the vehicle radio in world or direct out. So I think direct out, he just means like through this, into your character basically. So if you're in the vehicle, you will hear it, nobody else will. Whereas in world, you're going to be like blasting whatever you're playing from your Jeep that's trundling along. So you can bet your ass I'm going to be blasting Ride of the Valkyries or Fortunate Son out of my helicopter as I'm missioning around the battlefield, guys. I don't even care if I draw attention to myself. It's just way too cool of a thing to do not to. And as he states, there is probably another radio station for Battlefield Pro. So if you're wondering, Ghost, what is Battlefield Pro? Again, this was data mined the other day, and I did a separate video on this, but essentially, this is one of the new ways that EA and DICE are going to be monetizing the new Battlefield game, or at least it looks that way. As always with leaks and data mines, you can never be sure what's going to make it into the game and what isn't. But from what we've found, basically, you will pay a certain amount of money, whether that's going to be monthly or otherwise has yet to be seen, and that will give you the Battle Pass, an XP boost for the Battle Pass. It allows you to host a persistent server in Portal, so pretty similar to how it works in 2042 at the moment. It gives you some tier skips, etc. But one of the other things that is listed is that you get to listen to the Pro radio station. So surely then, this must go hand in hand with the radio options here, that if you have the Battlefield Pro, dare I say, subscription, then you will get another radio station. What songs are going to be on these radio stations? I'm very interested here as well. I can only assume they're going to have some sort of a streamer mode, because YouTube is kind of cringe and they just DMCA anything that has a song in it. So there you go. But I would still, love to be able to make use of that feature. So there we go, guys. That is going to wrap up this video. I know there weren't any maybe huge leaks this time, as you've maybe been getting used to over the past couple of weeks. Like I say, things have been really dying down, and really overall, this third Battlefield Labs test wasn't a whole lot different from the first couple of tests. In fact, I think it was exactly the same. It was on the same map, with all the same weaponry and everything. We just saw some new things that we hadn't gotten to see before in any of the previous leaks. So if you enjoyed the video, leaving a like down below is always massively appreciated. And make sure you're subscribed as well. I'm going to be putting out plenty more videos on this. Every bit of information that we get from DICE and EA, I will also be posting that and trying to really just keep you guys as up to date with the game and what's going on with the release as possible. As always, leave your thoughts down below. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.